Another day, another national voice getting it wrong about Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss Ohio State's path to the top of the Big Ten rankings, as well as if it feels like the Big Ten will be more competitive this year. But first, Locked On College Football recently released their conference rankings, and when I saw the Big Ten list, I was curious to find out where Ohio State was going to land. The Buckeyes are number 2 in the conference rankings for the Big Ten Football Conference. Number 1 is Penn State, and I'm not going to lie to you. It was weird when I initially saw it that James Franklin's squad is ahead of Ryan Day's squad, but as I'm saying it right now on the show, it makes it feel a little weird on the inside. Because never in my life do I think that Penn State would be ranked higher than Ohio State. I understand it's a preseason poll. A lot of this is projection and speculation. I understand all of that. But I also understand that Ryan Day should get the benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt with the quarterback situation, the competition going on right now. Benefit of the doubt with the offense that the Buckeyes are going to run, with the guys who are going to step up to play big roles for the Buckeyes defense. The benefit of the doubt with the coaches he has hired. Ryan Day should get the benefit of the doubt. So with this ranking that came out via Spencer McLaughlin and Locked On College Football, I understand why Penn State's 1 and Ohio State's 2. But y'all, I can't get down with it. Here are 10 through 1. I'm going to put the graphic up right now for everybody on the YouTube before we go any further. Locked On's graphic team absolutely killed this one. You can see all 18 teams there on the YouTube in the rankings right now. You may agree with Purdue being last and Maryland being number 17, Northwestern being number 16. You may agree with that. You may agree with Washington being 10 and USC being 9. A lot of you won't agree with 2 Ohio State, 1 Penn State. We're going to go 10 through 1 really quickly. So for those of you that are listening on the audio, to let you know where 10 through 1 are in the conference rankings put out by Locked On College Football. Number 10, Washington. Number 9, USC. Number 8, Minnesota. Number 7, Iowa. 6, Michigan. 5, Indiana. 4, Illinois, 3, Oregon, 2, Ohio State, and number 1 is Penn State. The Ohio State thing is odd to me because I can 100% understand why somebody would say, well, Ohio State's trying to have a new starting quarterback. There's a competition going on once again. You lose 8 guys that were started on defense a year ago to the draft, and so that's a big deal. So I can understand why there are certain things going on with the Buckeyes trying to project what they're going to be. Because trust me, we're on the show every single day. I struggle with it. We, at times, struggle with understanding how a player on defense is going to play. Does anybody truly know how CJ Hicks is going to play off the edge? Nope. Not at all. You may have a projection, but what's that based on? Is it high school film? Maybe. Is it the film that he's done at Ohio State? And you could say, well, this is what he done. This is what he has done at Ohio State so far, and we can use that to project what he's going to do on the edge. Okay, if you can do that, so be it. Good for you. I can't, because I have not seen enough of CJ Hicks on the edge to know what he's going to be this year when he's playing full time on the edge. I don't know. I hope he plays well. I would love to see CJ Hicks go off and play in the National Football League, but is that going to happen? I have no idea. I know he has to have a monster year, basically treat this like a contract year if you're a professional, to go all out to make sure that you are doing everything you can to make more money at the end of the day, because if he does, he's going to get the bag going into the National Football League. These rankings, though, I think it's a good representation about Ohio State and some of the other things going on in the conference. We'll dive in later in the show in regards to how I feel about the competitive nature of these teams this year in the conference. I don't really have a much gripe with the top tier in the Big Ten, as I call it. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. I think those 3 schools should automatically be in there. And if you want to say Oregon over Penn State, I couldn't really get behind that. I know Oregon was undefeated regular season last year. They won the Big Ten Conference Championship game over Penn State, actually. Got a bye in the playoff. Played the Buckeyes and played the Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl and got specked. It was a beatdown. It was an absolute beatdown a year ago. So these rankings are fun. They're good, especially a couple weeks before Big Ten Media Days. As Ryan Day, Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles will be there in Vegas representing the Buckeyes. And as they're representing the Buckeyes, they can use this as fuel. Now, I wouldn't go out there talking a whole lot of mess and saying stuff to be more bulletin board material. But if somebody's going to ask you a question, answer it. Don't try to dodge it. Don't try to play your own game of dodgeball with the person asking the question. No, answer it. You don't have to lie. You don't have to try to sugarcoat things. Answer the question. Now, there will be some questions if somebody were to ask you, who is your starting quarterback? You're probably not going to answer that question unless Ryan Day gives the players the clearance to and the freedom to go ahead and do that. I don't think you're going to answer that question. But at Big Ten Media Days, represent Ohio State the way you need to. The defending national champion, the team that went on a run that we have never seen in a playoff in college football, winning 4 games in a row, a blowout of Tennessee, a blowout of Oregon, what should have been a blowout of Texas, and then a win over Notre Dame in the Natty. Represent the team very well. But also realize there are going to be people there that look at rankings from Locked On's Big Ten rankings, and say, Ohio State should be number 2. The players that lost a year ago, they were big. They played big roles. A lot of them are 3 or 4 year guys that have been in rotation and started multiple years. They lost those guys. So because they lost them, we shouldn't trust the guys that are there to step up, or the guys that Ryan Day brought in from the portal, because they're newcomers, they're new faces, and we don't know what the Buckeyes are going to get from them. Here's the weird part about that. If you want to look at the transfers and say, well, we don't know what you're going to get from them, I know what you're going to get from Max Clare, and it's one of the best tight ends in the country, receiving tight ends in the country. We know what you're going to get from Bo Atkinson. He is going to be a force on the edge. Logan George in the backup role, I think you know what you're going to get from him as well. You know what you're going to get from a lot of guys. So some people are going to say things to try to trip you up. Some people are going to say things because they truly believe them. Whatever the case is, there are people out there at Big Ten Media Days that are going to make their own list, that are going to have Ohio State at number 2, or maybe they'll reference Locked On's Big Ten ranking to say, well, Locked On did this because, well, to them, it's the most accurate thing that's out there right now, because Locked On does accurate stuff all the time. And it's where you should go to get all of your college football fix. Locked On College Football, Locked On Buckeyes, Locked On Wolverines. If you want to tap into Michigan, Locked On has you covered. Moving forward for Ryan Day, use this as fuel. While a college football expert got this wrong, that's great. People get things wrong all the time. Use it as fuel. I don't trust Drew Aller at all to be able to win big games, to be able to make the big time throws, to be able to make the right decisions. I don't trust Drew Aller. I don't trust James Franklin to put his team in the right area and in the right scenarios to be successful. I don't do that. So when I don't trust your quarterback and I don't trust your head coach, and we know that going into the season because it's been a thing that's been happening over and over and over again, but I do trust Ohio State's quarterback, whoever it's going to be. I do trust Ryan Day. I do trust the other coaches on the coaching staff and the players that are on the roster. I do trust them, which is why Penn State at 1 is a big mistake. Ohio State at 2 is a mistake. Flip those 2 around, and the list will be accurate. While this list is inaccurate, it might give a great picture about how competitive the Big Ten might be in the fall, and we'll move forward in the show discussing if Ohio State is going to have some unlikely contenders to compete with them to play in the Big Ten championship game. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball, under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Locked on College Football, Spencer McLaughlin just released Locked on's conference rankings for the Big Ten Football Conference. And you're seeing it right now, once again, on the YouTube. 1 through 18 are all right here. Like I said earlier, the Locked on's graphic team absolutely killed this graphic. We went through 1 through 10 earlier. 11 through 18. Nebraska, Michigan State, Wisconsin, UCLA, Rutgers, Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue. I'm not going to sit up here and try to debate you and say that Purdue or Maryland should be flip-flop. No, I think both are going to be trash. Northwestern's going to be bad. That's kind of like the bottom tier for the Big Ten. The next tier for me is 13 to 15. Wisconsin, UCLA, and Rutgers. I think they are kind of that, like, they're almost at the bottom, but they're not in that kind of B tier. You have a D tier, a C tier, a B tier, and an A tier. The B tier is 4 through 12. Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington, Nebraska, Michigan State. That's the B. Now, you can see it's a pretty big group. The top tier, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, just listing them in the way they are right there on the graphic. And I'm really kind of looking at this and thinking, well, while that's the list, is there anybody in that B tier that can contend to be in the Big Ten championship game? Because I wholeheartedly believe that Ohio State's going to be back in the Big Ten title game this year. They should, at least if they're there, be favored to win. I understand that no divisions, no divisions anymore. They long gone are the legends and leaders divisions, which I still find being one of the oddest things the Big Ten has done. I know they wanted to try to be like the Southeastern Conference. Well, that was a bad attempt to accomplish that goal. I do think there'll be some competition for Ohio State outside of those in the top tier, Penn State, Oregon, and the Buckeyes, to be in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, Illinois, Indiana, to me, are the only schools outside of that A tier, the top tier, to be contenders to be in the Big Ten championship game. Now, I am not in on them being there at all. Ohio State plays Illinois this year, battled for the Ella Buck. They don't play the Hoosiers this year, so it's not like that's going to be a head-to-head matchup. I have no idea what to get from the Hoosiers. I think Illinois can be good. I don't think they're going to win double-digit games this year. So for Brett Bielema's squad, solid. Be a solid Illinois team. I don't think they're going to be a true contender, but they can play spoiler 100%. Iowa hosts Penn State this year. They could play spoiler. Oregon has to travel to Happy Valley. That'll be a big time matchup. It's actually Penn State's whiteout, and so that'll be one that we'll be watching on NBC. I don't know Ohio State's kickoff time on that day, so I can't off the top of my head know if the Buckeyes are playing at the same time as a whiteout. As a college football fan, the whiteout to me is one of the best traditions in collegiate football. I don't know why I say collegiate football. It's college football. It's one of the best traditions out there. Ohio State doesn't do a blackout, consistently do a blackout, so I can't say that, even though I think their black jerseys are sick. The Scarlet out, if you could get the Tennessee atmosphere every single game, where that was still, 30,000 Tennessee fans there. If you can get that type of atmosphere with 105,000 strong Buckeye fans in the shoe at night against a big-time opponent, that could rival the whiteout. However, I think the sound in the shoe moves around a little bit different than it does in Beaver Stadium. And so I think the sound itself, with the way that Beaver Stadium is built, it kind of figures out a way to get that sound to all hit one thing, and boom, it gets very, very loud. And so traditions in college football are fun. I think Ohio State is, within the next 5 years or so, going to try to cement a night, a game, a day that's a night game every single year that gets a big-time opponent, that gets a big-time jersey, gets Nike to do something big, gets the athletic department to do something huge. I really hope that. I would love for Ohio State to have a whiteout type game in the shoe. Don't give me Ohio State, Nebraska. Absolutely not. No. I wasn't planning on doing this now, but since we're on the topic of changes and traditions, honestly, I would love for Ohio State and Michigan to be a night game every year. That would take both schools agreeing upon it, and Fox realizing if they get this game, the school's going to dictate the kickoff time, not the TV network. Now, that's not how things work, so I know that's not going to happen, but I would love for that game to be a night game. I wouldn't mind the NBC having that game. Noah Eagle, was it Todd Blackledge, Catherine Tappan on the sidelines? I wouldn't mind that at all. Trust me. That would be fun. NBC, in the shoe, prime time for Ohio State, Michigan, because we all know that game's probably going to have a berth into the Big Ten championship game on the line. Then you add in the rivalry. Then you add in Michigan planting the flag in the shoe last year. I mean, there's so many things that can go on with this. And I talk about Michigan a little bit because when it comes to true contenders to play in the Big Ten championship game, I don't see Michigan being there, especially if they start Bryce Underwood. I have a hard time believing that a true freshman quarterback that is starting right away is going to be able to get his team up and get his team ready to compete right away. I get a hard time believing that. But then you got to add in context that Michigan might be punished by the NCAA for their sign stealing investigation that's still going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. I do think the Big Ten will be more competitive. I think the USC, the Washington, Nebraska, Michigan State, I think those will be very well-respected teams. Wisconsin, if Luke Fickell gets it right this year, they can play spoiler to a few teams. Rutgers can be a tough, I don't want to say tough place to play, can be a tough team to play. The Fighting Greg Schianos, sorry, Purdue, the Terps, the Wildcats, and Northwestern. Sorry, UCLA. Sorry for you too, because I don't think y'all are even going to be able to play spoiler. But I think there are going to be some teams that can play spoiler. I don't think it'll be a competitive thing where some of those spoiler teams are going to have a shot to play the Big Ten championship game. I truly only see only 3 teams. If I want to be generous, I could say 4. Sorry, Hoosiers, that could play in the Big Ten Conference championship game. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois. For Illinois to get in there, a lot would have to go their way, and the ball has to bounce the wrong way for the 3 teams above them in the ranking. The Hoosiers, I have never in my lifetime seen the Hoosiers have back-to-back elite years. Want to know why? Not just in my lifetime. It's never happened in the history of the program. So I can't say that Indiana's going to do what they did last year because it's never happened before in the history of the program. Yeah, I can be a guy that's following my mom's school, my mom's alma mater, and say, well, because my mom went there, the Hoosiers will do this. I know enough people that went to IU. I know enough people that follow that program. I know enough people that are diehard Hoosiers fans that will sit up here and tell you, last year was great. I don't know if Kirk Signetti can duplicate that in back-to-back years. I have no idea. And so, Indiana, maybe to some. I know Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers will be one person to say that the Hoosiers can do it and that they will be undefeated this year and that they can spoil a lot of people's parties. I know he would say that if you were on the show. But these rankings are decent. I'll put it back up on the screen once again. We don't normally put graphics here, but for something this good, got to put it up here again. Out of the teams here, I really only see 4 teams that could be in the Big Ten championship game. But I do see a lot of teams that will allow the Big Ten to be very, very competitive this year. Watch out for Washington, USC, Michigan State, Iowa. If you get them at home, that's a black hole. It could be a really odd place to play. The competitive Big Ten is good. It's going to help the Big Ten be in the running to be the best conference in the sport. I have a hard time believing it's going to be a better conference than the SEC, where the Southeastern Conference has that on lock almost every single year. But while they have that on lock almost every single year, there was a time Ohio State had the Big Ten on lock. It's been quite a long time since they won the conference championship in the Big Ten football conference, but it can happen this year. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. These rankings are fun. I love that Locked On is putting out rankings and allowing you, the viewer and the enjoyer of the show, to get a deeper sense of how things are going to go in the Big Ten Conference. Because you can see a lot of other stuff around the country. It's incorrect. I mean, blatantly incorrect. It's just wrong. The place to get your stuff is right here, Locked On. Follow Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin does a great job of being the voice of the sport for us here at the network. And he's unfortunately also the host of Locked On Ducks, the Oregon Ducks, that is. He is he's a fan of the Duck. I don't know why he decided to be a fan of that school. I have no idea at all. I think he's either from Utah. He lives in. I know he's from the Pacific area, the West Coast, but would have been better to be a fan of anybody else but Oregon. Oregon's always kind of been like the pesky younger brother or the pesky person that you know at school, the annoying one that always wants to poke. Oh, hey, we're here. Oh, you're not worthy of being at this table. Oh, hey, we're here again. Oh, Ohio State beat you in the national championship. Hey, we're here. No, sorry, you just got beat down in the Rose Bowl. So, Oregon, well-respected program. They have some pretty dope jerseys. I'm not going to lie. Having Phil Knight on your side is very beneficial for you, especially when it comes to recruiting, knowing that you can get a different jersey every single game. That's unheard of. No, it's not unheard of because Oregon does it. What Ohio State should do this year is reclaim the conference, reclaim the crown, and say that the Buckeyes are the team to beat in the conference because they have the talent to do it. If you look up and down the roster in Athlon Sports, their college football preview magazine is one I generally get religiously. I haven't gotten it this year. I don't know why. That'll be something I'll be picking up soon, but they do a great job of really previewing the sport. And while they have a preview magazine, I would be shocked if you look in there and it says, well, Ohio State's not going to win the conference, but they would probably say Penn State. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. I don't trust Drew Aller. I don't trust James Franklin. They have not given me a reason to trust them. So to put them and say, oh, they're projected to win the Big Ten Conference, based on what? What have they done to gain the trust? Has Drew Aller gotten better? Absolutely. And I talked to Zach Seiko about that, I think during a crossover during last season, about how Drew Aller has gotten better as a quarterback. And he did. It was the West Virginia game a year ago. He made some big-time throws in the first half where I was thinking, okay, Drew Aller, you're doing some things really, really, really good. But it comes down to it. In the national semifinal against Notre Dame, made some bad decisions. James Franklin also made some bad decisions. And they lost to Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame was a better team anyway. I'm not going to say they weren't, but Penn State had a chance to win. Ohio State's not only going to have a chance to win the conference, I think they should win the conference. And I paused there for a second because I really haven't made many bold proclamations like that in a while. But if you look at Ohio State, when Ryan Day had a first-year starting quarterback and what he has gotten from them, it's been remarkable. And you can even go back to the 2018 year when it was his final year as an assistant at Ohio State when he got a brand-new starter, first-year starter in Dwayne Haskins. That brother went off. That young man went smooth off. 2019, Justin Fields, undefeated regular season, Big Ten champ. 2021, CJ Stroud had one loss in the regular season. Unfortunately, it was to Oregon. However, no, two, because was it two losses that year? Yeah, two. Two losses that year. One to Oregon, one to Michigan. If you didn't lose to Michigan, you're going back to playing the Big Ten championship game, and you're probably going to win. 2023, Kyle McCord, undefeated. That's one thing that I think people forget about Kyle McCord. For all the things people have said about Kyle McCord, and they've been throwing a lot of stones this way, Kyle McCord went into that game against Michigan with an 11-0 record. 11-0. Now, you look at the record that at the end of the year, it was the second loss in the Cotton Bowl, a game that I don't really think Ohio State prepared properly for. Devin Brown came in to play, didn't look like he was prepared. Lincoln Kienholz came in because Devin Brown got hurt in the first quarter, I believe. He clearly wasn't ready to play. And so your quarterback goes to the portal and McCord. Devin Brown, in a month span, was supposed to get ready, but I don't know if the game was too fast. I don't know if he was seeing ghosts. I have no idea. They also didn't prepare Lane Kienholz in a backup role, and that's why a big reason why the result was what it was. Missouri was the better team that day, not that year. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Ohio State should have won the game. No, Missouri was the better team that day. They deserved to win. They played better. They fought harder. They made more plays. They earned that win. That's the same thing Ohio State has to keep in mind this year. Go out there and take the win. Go earn it. Don't wait at any point in time for somebody to come out there and say, well, I'm going to hand you, I got these microphones here. Some of you that look at YouTube Shorts and follow me on TikTok at jstevens07. I have a little microphone here. If you can get up to the camera, I don't know if you can see that very clearly. It's Rode. Recently came up with the mini lavalier mic. A lot of you will see the DJI mics or Rhodes mics that you can clip into your phone, and you can get really professional sounding audio very, very quickly. I know Rode has a version of these lavalier mics. You can clip them onto your shirt or put a magnet under your shirt so it's magnetically attached to your shirt. Rode has a pair just like this that you can. They're similar to the DJI mics, the more expensive ones, $250 to $350 on the DJI side. And some of you may have seen me use them, and some of you may have seen me discuss things about Ohio State or things going on in the sport. And while doing that, I tried my best to represent Ohio State in the best way, give my honest opinion, and to share honesty, to not try to sugarcoat anything. And when it comes to the Buckeyes winning the Natty this year, they get the benefit of the doubt. Shouldn't they? Am I crazy for thinking that? That Ohio State should get the benefit of the doubt because, well, Ryan Day normally gets the quarterback right. Ryan Day normally gets the running backs right. The offensive line is getting right. The defensive line should be right once the Buckeyes get into the heart of the Big Ten slate. The DBs, I mean, you might be look at one of the best units in the country. Linebackers, Arvo Reese and Sonny Styles. I'm down with that. I have a hard time believing that this won't be the year. Excuse me, I have a hard time going against someone or believing someone that says that this is the year that Ohio State once again loses early and doesn't make the Big Ten championship. It seems like it's almost one of those things where people are doubting Ohio State and people are asking a lot of questions that you normally wouldn't ask about an Ohio State team because of winning the national championship, because Ryan Day fully doesn't have the monkey off of his back, which is something we'll talk about tomorrow, because I do think that one thing that still allows a monkey to still have a latch on a Ryan Day's back is one thing that'll fuel the Buckeyes this year. You could probably guess it. It's about the team up north. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That's all I'll say about that topic. Ohio State's path to the top. Win. Win, win, win. Take care of business. Ryan Day has gotten things right over and over and over again. And I have a hard time believing that he will not get things right once again this season. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal, because my guy, Brian Smithy, has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. You can follow Locked on Buckeyes and the portal on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform or jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's Locked on Buckeyes on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.